So let's get into this one. So as you guys know, Matty Healy of 1989 or 1975, a band that does music. One of their songs is called Chocolate. He's a British guy, okay? 1975, Matty Healy. He's problematic, folks. He said a lot of weird, edgy shit on an edgy center-left podcast in order to fit in. He wanted to. I don't know the guy. I don't even know half the shit he said. I've read up a little bit about it. Okay, he's the type of dude who is doing like IDub shit. Okay, but in like 2023, not as bad as IDubs in some ways, but like in that same vein. Okay, in others. Now, this guy in and of itself has a lot of stands, a lot of Tumblr-style stands. So that kind of audience that you cultivate is very dangerous because the moment that the moment that they find out that you're a real human being who says shit sometimes that's problematic, and they can no longer avoid it, well, all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of issues. Okay? I myself am certainly, I know that from personal experience, okay? Can you talk about the allegations that he might be British? Yeah. Now, Taylor Swift has decided to date Matty Healy, friend of the show, Matty Healy. Matty Healy, I must admit, this is like when when NPR is covering a story about Facebook and they go, NPR is sponsored by Facebook. This is my admission as well. Matty Healy is a fan of this broadcast and myself. Okay. I did not know this until he appeared on the Center Left podcast. And then I found out that he had DM'd me, I think way back when, saying that I was hot. So that is a conflict of interest that I must admit early on. This is your worst take. I do not care about all the cringe shit that he said overall. I would like to eventually have him on the broadcast at a certain point. Okay? That would be great. It doesn't mean I will agree with him. But I will not be listening to the stands on that issue. So, regardless of my own personal feelings on Matty Healy, or regardless of what he has said and what he believes genuinely in his heart of hearts, like it's fucking 2014, this kind of thing is insane. Holly Stahlcup, who's the executive director of Now She Rises, do not harass this person. She's already getting enough of this, probably, on the timeline. Okay? Was very upset after it came out that Matty Healy is an incredibly problematic, awful person. Before I leave for New York City, here's my thread on seeing Taylor this weekend while she is dating a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, overall problematic white man. While I don't necessarily owe anyone this thread, it is important to me to take my public leadership seriously. I have spent the last 2 weeks trying to listen to as many marginalized Taylor fans as I can, trying to follow their lead on how we can or can't separate the person from the art. I don't have easy answers, and I don't know what I will do this past weekend. So I just want to say something, okay? I want to say something. How about you just, enjoy Taylor Swift? Guys, I have a really crazy idea, okay? Just enjoy Taylor Swift. Just, the world is awful. The systems that we exist under are incredibly oppressive, and every other form of content basically reinforces that. So if someone is not overtly reinforcing that awful carceral state that we exist under, or police brutality, or I don't know, the American surveillance state, American imperialism, which as far as I understand, Taylor Swift doesn't do that. Fuck it, who cares? Sometimes you can even consume the content that does do that, okay? Because people don't consume content specifically for for the same reasons that you might consume it, right? The idea that you should feel immense guilt for whatever content that you're consuming is weird. It's weird because it doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't say anything positive about you. It doesn't say anything negative about you. It says nothing about you. Who you are and what you believe in and how you behave is what matters, not what kind of content you're consuming. This is something that I regularly talk about on this broadcast. So if you're new here, you're about to find that out on top of the hour ad break. If you're new here, this is something I say all the fucking time. This is also, the top of the hour ad break is something that I say all the fucking time. What if it was Andrew Tate content? That's a great example. I consume a metric ton of Andrew Tate content. I consume more Andrew Tate content than the average Andrew Tate fanboy does. I have dissected every little thing that Andrew Tate has done over the course of his rise to fame and, in his own self-destructive behaviors and his criminal background as well. So what does that tell you? I also maintain the position that Andrew Tate, despite being a gross person who is a sex criminal, allegedly, according to the Romanian court system, at least under investigation for sex crimes. Patakusi, thank you for the 10 of the subs. Sakuragor, thank you for the 10 of the subs, allowing 20 people to no longer see the ad break at the top of the hour, by the way. Very confused, MB. Thank you for the 10 of the subs. Just 3-minute ad break now. I also maintain the position that sometimes Andrew Tate has the capacity to be funny. Okay? He has the capacity to be self-deprecating and funny. Okay? Or over-the-top ridiculous, like a character. It's rare, but it happens, and I recognize it, and I admit it. Okay? Sometimes unintentionally, other times intentionally. So what does that tell you? Does that tell you that I agree with Andrew Tate? Does that tell you that I like Andrew Tate? Does that tell you anything about what I believe in? Do you think that me and Andrew Tate have any opinions that we agree with? That agree with one another? Of course not. I consume a shitload of Trump content. If you are a liberal and content consumption is the only cultural signifier that you care about, and it's the only way that you can show the world that you are a morally righteous person, then yes, you will look at that and go, why do you platform Donald Trump? Why do you cover Donald Trump? Why do you even admit that Donald Trump could be funny sometimes, or he's charismatic, or has the best pussy on the planet? Okay? And to that I say, you're not a normal person. You have problematic faves as well. Okay? Do not make me pull out the Donald Trump tennis photo again. Please, don't do it. Don't do it. So, what do I always say? Everyone doesn't compartmentalize that way. What about people who consume child porn and Nazi content? First of all, again, we consume Nazi content as well. But this part is a little bit different, I think. Don't you think? Do you think it's the same as listening to 1975 or some shit? Do you think that it's like equivalent to that? Because if it was, you wouldn't have to make an insane analogy like this. You would just say it as it is and people would understand what you're saying. The reason why you had to go to such an extreme example that is quite literally a crime, okay? You're making blanket statements though. No, you're misunderstanding the blanket statements that I'm making. The blanket statements that I'm making obviously don't have to be qualified into oblivion so that, I can make a normal conversation flow, okay? I'm sorry, you do not operate this way in the real world, or if you do operate this way in the real world, what the fuck are you doing? Do you walk into a Starbucks and you ask for the specials and they tell you it's like caramel macchiato and you go, wow, these are not fair trade ethical beans that the Zapatistas actually pulled from the ground. Why do you fucking want to kill the third world bean farmers? Like, that's not how you operate. In the real world, you are not, I hope, constantly in a contentious manner trying to fucking, I don't go to Starbucks. You're missing the point by a mile. I'm sorry. Take a fucking day off. You're just derailing the conversation for your own narcissistic desires. You just want to center the conversation around yourself. You want to hyper focus on me, and you're using the lens of leftist empathy to do this debate pervertry, when in fact, it's not an empathetic approach that you have. You're just a boring bitch who's lonely, who wants someone to pay attention to them. Okay? This is narcissism. Let's continue. If you think that like this level of behavior and self-flagellation is a necessity for you to consume Taylor Swift's content, you're out of your mind, okay? You're not normal. This is not good. It's not healthy for you. It's not how normal human beings operate in the wild anyway. You're just doing it for Twitter brownie points for the most part in this circumstance. So I don't know what to tell you, okay? Chat is being weird because you don't care about their hyper online nonsense. I am a hyper online nonsensical person. A lot of my content and my commentary revolves around hyper online nonsensical bullshit. This is one of the most important things I can do, in my opinion, which is to try to use the social capital that I have accumulated here in this community that I have cultivated, and use that social capital to try to help you understand that, like, you don't have to behave like this because you're unfortunately misguided by being extremely online and not operating in normal society. You feel alienated. You feel like this is a sense of community that you can have here. And I don't want this community to also lead you astray. Okay? I don't want you to think that like this level of behavior is normal. It's not. This level of behavior is not normal, and it will probably lead you to be incredibly depressed. Okay? Not only will you be out of touch with normal human beings, okay? You're too online. You've lost context. I've lost context. You're right. Some marginalized fans are choosing to keep engaging with Taylor's music at some level, and some aren't. I'm trying to figure out my place with my privilege. It is not news to me that Taylor is not a bastion of intersectionality. I would not call her a role model for my littles. Taylor's financial situation alone is enough reason for me to stand on the opposite side of her ethically. I want our government to tax the shit out of her earnings, and will continue to vote to make that happen. Billionaires shouldn't exist. I have wrestled with attending her concert this weekend and know that her shitty, harmful decision to date this man will impact my experience in ways I wish it wouldn't. I also know the bulk of white women that will be there have not thought critically about being there, but I am a good white. I thought about it. I still consume the content, but I thought about it, guys. To be honest, I think the difference is you actually really enjoy the problematic content without any qualms. What do you mean? I mean, I do. I do enjoy it. And you do too. We enjoy it together in here all the time. We literally spend more time looking at what like psychotic racist right-wingers are saying than we do weird, goofy liberals. Like, if you don't go out of your way to criticize it sometimes, what do you mean? What? I don't even fully understand what you're saying. It's okay, man. It's okay to do that. It's actually okay to do that. Sometimes, like, for example,